Hey everyone, and welcome to the Coach's Commentary, a little project that I figured I should start doing in order to keep my sanity. Came to me as an idea that I had when I couldn't sleep a couple of nights ago, and of course, football is something that I love to talk about and plan for and stuff like that. And during the season, I get plenty of football, but right now it's a slow time, especially with all of the canceled sports and stuff like that. So I thought I'd take a look back at the 2019 season for Algoma Wolves football. So a little bit about the season. This was when we were transitioning into eight-man football, and the strange thing about that is I think it was kind of balanced in terms of the community for people who were in support of it versus not being in support of it. Kind of the people who had been watching us for the previous couple of years definitely saw the need for us to go to eight-man versus people who probably didn't watch us a whole lot or more old school or whatever, where they're talking about, oh, is it even really football? And like the answer unequivocally is yes. If you've ever seen an eight-man game, it's football. You're running, you're tackling, you're running plays. You're stopping guys, you're game planning. It is definitely football in every sense of the word. It's just slightly different, so small schools are able to compete against one another. One of the great things about us this season is we were able to have a lot of success. We were 8-1. We were too large as a school in order to make the eight-man playoff, but that's totally fine, and I definitely understand why the WIAA has that rule. You have to be under 200 students in order to make the playoff. We were at about 225, I think, last year or something like that, so we were going to be too large. But nice thing about going to eight-man is the size of our teams had been shrinking over the years. A decade ago, when I first started up in Algoma, we had probably in the low 30s, mid 30s for the amount of players, and we were ending previous seasons at like 18, 19, maybe like 22, including our hurt guys and stuff like that. So we're definitely shrinking. Numbers are shrinking all over the state of Wisconsin, all over the country, for various reasons that I'm not going to get into. But the problem with our conference is we were playing teams that had football teams that were double our size. When we'd take on Kewanee, they would, show up with 45, 50 guys, and we have our 18 and 19 and stuff like that. Also, as school districts, they're much larger than us. We'd be playing school districts that were 1.5, maybe even 2 times our size as well. So I was really proud of how we competed over the previous couple of seasons. And I thought we were going to have success when it comes to eight-man because we definitely overperformed in terms of how we did against those very large teams, and now we were going to be one of the large teams. So we had a big senior class, and I thought we were going to do well, but of course that was up in the air. So our first game, this is going to be our first ever eight-man game. I will show my screen to you here, and we were figuring it was going to be a pretty tough opponent. We're going against Green Bay NEW, and they were teaming up with the Oneida Nation. And we had a scrimmage that I felt like we did really well on, where we did some very, very good things, both on varsity and JV. It was nice to have JV for the first time in 4 years. Again, also, I'm not going to go through the whole scouting report. The players of mine could tell you when it comes to those scouting report days, they would go very, very long. But big thing was getting people prepared, getting my defense prepared for the team. So kind of the basics that the Blazers were running: double tight formation, leads, pitches, some options and stuff like that. So it was going to be a smash mouth football game. I was really excited for it. That's the kind of football that I like. Our offense was going to be double tight with a wing for the most part, and we were going to come at you with traps and leads and all kinds of other stuff. So some of the main things you'll see out of the Blazers, like an I formation, a formation that we called gun bone. But essentially, you have like this T backfield and like a full house backfield if you would take out the quarterback, and then kind of like a power eye type of thing, offset eye that you can see there. Game plan, how we were doing things, we were playing around with two different formations. We didn't want to be like everybody else and run like a 4-2 and just be like blitzing like crazy and play man coverage across the board and all this stuff. We wanted to actually, in my opinion, run a real defense. So we had 4 DBs on the field. We could play any kind of coverage that we wanted, but that meant that we were probably going to be a little bit undermanned when it came to stopping the run. So with our 3-1 defense, we would be essentially inverting our safeties. So the way our defense is set up, we're running a spill defense. We're trying to get everybody to bounce everything outside in order to have our linebackers chase and make tackles, and our safeties come up and fill, make a bunch of tackles, and then our corners can kind of worry about coverage and make sure that it's going to be a run before we get to anything. But yeah, we had our 3-1 and kind of our basic drawing up of that. So you can see our inverted safeties there. They were going to be getting a lot of tackles, which is exactly what happened. They ended up with 11 and 10 tackles during the game. But how we're going to handle the triple option and stuff like that and some personnel stuff. But let's get into the game where I'm already being more long-winded than I wanted to be. And we will get going here, and I'm going to try my best not to rewind and make this into like a film session and rewind over and over and stuff like that, kind of play things through. Special teams, got our big kicker, Elijah Ritchie, had these big ham hocks for legs. Our normal kicker was out the first 3 games of the season. So just figured, we'll put Elijah in there and just have him hammer the ball, toe bomb it all they could, and guys get down there and make the tackle. So we started out in our 2-2 defense here, where since I was kind of worried about their how they were going to do like pitches and options and stuff like that, I wanted some speed at the linebacker position. So you can kind of see we have Elijah there, 55, just a big ox, huge, 310 pounds, benching 300 pounds, squatting probably 450. If I'm wrong about that, I'm sure he'll yell at me. Deadlifting a ton. He's going to go to junior college. Of course, he's a senior this season. I also had a defensive end, Gavin Miller. He's a stud, also very, very technical. And he had just an amazing push-pull that in future games you're going to be able to see very, very well. But first defensive series, everything worked exactly how we wanted to. This is our standard offensive formation, where we kind of took an amalgamation of some of the tougher offenses that we've seen over the years, and essentially we removed the quarterback. So we do technically have a quarterback, number 10, Carter Zimmerman. He's going to be the guy who's throwing the ball if we're going to have that happen. And he's going to be getting tons of rush yards and stuff like that. And, just a very, very tough way where we felt like we'd be wasting a guy if we just had a normal quarterback just handing off the ball. So we're trying to maximize things there. First oops of the year, we have a blown coverage. Started a freshman corner because the guy who usually started, senior, very solid player, you'll see him in right there. But started that freshman because of some worries about some injuries and stuff like that. But he blows a coverage, and then in goes Oliver. He did a nice job for us. Linebackers, we have Noah Lucas. He's number 20. And then Hunter Stuller, number 50. Hunter's a big stud for us. Also played center. Has a lot of speed. Tough guy. Smart. Can see a bunch of guys getting to the ball. DBs I was super happy with this year. Great at communication, physical guys. Have a nice run here by, that was probably Oliver, tripped the cameraman even. And Coach Vandervest is kind of testing the waters with what they're going to be running against us. Got a lot of guys going to the whistle. Nice play there by Brett Benish, senior. Stud on offense, stud on defense. Not too bad here with the option play. So this was a pretty big staple for us when we're running traps, or we called them G's, where the guard would G-pull, and the play design was, they would pull for a play side linebacker, and we felt that was a very strong play depending on how the defensive end was playing. If the end was outside more, figured it'd be, we could just trap them and everything would be going great. But the reason why we'd run G is if the guy was a little tighter to our tight end. So we could just have him, block him towards the sideline, and then have our pulling guard be able to go get the. Gonna replay this play here. This one got a end around going. Nice trap by Elijah. All the backfield action. If you're watching the quarterback and running back, takes you to the right, and then we have that wing come underneath as a handoff, and defense has to stay disciplined in order to do that. So against aggressive defenses that are very, very downhill, number 44 for NEW here, very good linebacker, a lot of speed. We're trying to get him off balance where we show action going one way, and then we got our ball carrier going the other way. But here, we're going to have our first touchdown of the year. Hope I didn't miss it. This might be our... I'm going to go back to it. Our first touchdown of the year isn't going to be scored by a skill guy. Oliver's going to fumble the ball here. And then our guard, you see him 66 there, he's going to dive on the ball in the end zone for our first score. So quite a bit different way to start the season, scoring-wise. First 8-man score, school history. Got Carter Dashlet doing us proud. We got Elijah, gonna hammer this ball here. Doing all right job in coverage. We use a lot of our young guys on special teams in order to give breathers for our older guys. You can see filling there, that's exactly how we want it. We got a team, they have to double team Elijah. That leaves things free for our guys to come up and fill. Spill them to the outside. It looks like that's where we're kind of weak, so a lot of teams would try to run outside on us, but that's actually to our strength. So lots and lots of teams are trying to get the edge on us, and that's exactly what we want them to do. You can see our inverted safeties there. Kind of blew things there where we're falling asleep a little bit. Good thing the guy missed the catch. Oliver's was a pretty tough guy to tackle. Had 2 great games for us. He unfortunately tore a ligament in his knee in the second game, and we lost him for the season. Very, very unfortunate. It was a senior season, of course, but did a lot of great things for us over the course of his career. We got a trap going on. Yelling at Oliver to turn on the jets. 44 is going to catch him. Good linebacker, a lot of speed. Designed to QB run. See that backfield action? If you're just trying to, if you're not looking at the guards, you're going to get lost. Which is exactly how we want it. Another QB run right behind Big Elijah there. Got a running back, number 20 blocking to the whistle. That's stuff that you love to see. Defense tightening up, of course. So we're still working out some kinks. Of course, Carter Zimmerman, sophomore. Started on varsity a couple of games at safety on defense the previous year at the beginning of the season. Had some guys out, and he made some great leaps in development or during the offseason. And in the scrimmage, he was making a bunch of plays. The scrimmage always kind of surprises me, where our young guy's going to be able to step up and stuff like that. And Zimmerman did a phenomenal job where he was making plays in the scrimmage that he never would have made the previous year. And then I immediately felt comfortable, like he's going to have a good season. You hate to rely on sophomores, but it's kind of small school football. And if he was on JV, he would have dominated, since he dominated on offense and defense on varsity for us. So good use of our time and reps. There you go. Got another end around. Brett's turning on the jets. A little bit faster than our boy Oliver. Huge play for us, getting us going. Two-point conversion. Yep, nowhere to go. Good coverage. As you can see on that play, how our defense works a little bit. It appears that we're leaving a decent gap. We switched to our 3-1 there a little bit. So I think we had to sub out a linebacker, give Noah a little bit of a breather, so we threw in another lineman. But when we have those double tight formations and we're in our 3, they're lining head up on those tight ends. Sitting in a 5 technique, and they're spilling. They're going inside. So we're protecting that middle linebacker so he doesn't have to take on a guard by himself. Or if that guard does go up to our linebacker, we're going to have our 2 studs on the D-line beating those tight ends to the inside and making tackles, or spilling it to the outside for our safeties who are inverted. Again, I was very happy that we kind of stuck to our defensive principles that we were running since I took over as a D coordinator a couple of years ago. This is the 4th year that I was D coordinator, so these seniors, they grew up in my system and how I wanted to run things. Gotta put a little more air under it. But how I ran things on defense, our linebacker coach, he grew up in that system too, former player of us, Jared Zellner, shout out to him, did a great job. Yeah, those safeties making that play. You had Chase getting in there. As soon as he read that it was a run to the outside, he's coming up and taking out that blocker. And the rest of the defense cleaning up. Giving good chase here. Got to finish the tackle. But great play for our D. We're swarming. It's a little bit before halftime here, so we're calling timeouts. trying to score again. Doing a little bit of living on their side of the field. Good pass protection. I don't know how Brett caught that ball, but he did it. Getting us down there. Yeah, so that was our last play before the half. Here's the kickoff. Got a trap here. Nice cutback by Oliver. Just wanted to come out a half after making some adjustments. Wanted a good series here. Getting after people. Good play action. When you're taking a look at offensive line is firing out, you can see Carter, the quarterback, taking 2 steps, ducking, getting Brett wide open. Great play for us there. Great job of acting. Being patient. A little bit of an oops there. First game of the season, you're going to have some mistakes. Got our end around again. Always a great play for us. Was effective all year. It's so easy just to get caught looking in the backfield and not reading guards and stuff. Again, a lot of these, all the defenses that we saw all year, whether it was who we went against on film, everybody was essentially running the same thing. It was a lot of 4-2 defenses. They ran man across the board. They would blitz like crazy. Weren't really reading a whole lot of things, so we've just got more and more confident as the season went on that the things that we were doing, a lot of the misdirection, a lot of the pulling, and then especially what we did on defense was a leg up from a lot of the things that we were seeing. And a big part of that, kind of the results was we had the best scoring defense in the state. In all of 8-man, we gave up 84 points all season. Next most, I think there was a team with 86, and they played one less game than us. There's another team that was in the 90s. Yeah, I was darn proud about our defense this year. Guys buying in, guys being smart, guys communicating. We ran man, we ran zone, all kinds of different coverages. Even ran some mixed coverages. Where we're playing, cover 2 on one side of the field, playing cover 4 on the other side, stuff like that. A lot of times we would have our guys calling out plays that were going to happen based on situations. Part of the reason why I'd scout so darn much. I think the scouting report for this game was the shortest one of the year. I think it was 4 pages roughly. But it wasn't uncommon at all to have 6, 7, 8 pages of for the defensive scouting report. And of course, I'm drawing things up and how I think they're going to run stuff versus our defense and stuff like that. So it wasn't all words. Getting some of our young guys incorporated here. See that we had Brett out this series, number 4. It's Caden Varden. He's our JV quarterback. Also played corner and safety on JV, depending on some of the matchups. Tough kid, skinny kid. Needs to hit the weights, but very confident. Smart player. Loved to bother me all year in the hallways and stuff like that, talking football and just being a freshman also. Took everything I had not to beat him up. Also working in some other guys at tight end here. Got Ethan Fleischman. He's a senior. What is his first time playing football? Guy who learned fast. Got a lot of good reps on defense. Would play D end. He had a pretty wicked push-pull also. You can see him there next to Elijah. Two-point conversion. Working on our passing game a bit. Yeah, so we won this game 32-0. Extremely happy offense and defense. Had some things to work on, of course. Maybe I'll have to do one of these commentaries for JV, the JV game between same teams was one of my favorite JV games, probably that I've ever coached in. The result ended up being a tie at 20s. Kind of ran out of daylight, so we were tied and we couldn't go into overtime. But essentially, it was 2 teams that would just line up kind of like this, and we didn't have. There wasn't a whole lot of passing because the field was mud, and it was just 2 teams slobber knocking, getting after it, run play after run play after run play. That was a really, really fun one. There we go. Chase does an awesome job there. Textbook, exactly how we wanted to do it. That fullback came out at him, so he attacked it, shedded that block, made the tackle, had another guy there too. Exactly what we want to do. Getting some other young guys in there. They're not with a whole lot of experience. We took Elijah out of the game, put in 75. He's also a senior. But it was his first time playing also. I think he got talked into coming out for football maybe a week before the season started. Doing a nice job in his assignments, getting after people. Pounding the rock, running that clock. I don't think we had enough guys on the line there, if I remember. Oh, got some cameraman issues, maybe. Oh, definitely issues were... There we go, and fixed. Good run by them. '81, a big boy, getting to his legs. Nice job by Chase there. Again, we're not asking him to kill a guy. Just make him block you. Middle linebacker kind of missed the tackle. But number 20, he's a sophomore as well. Gave us a lot of good minutes throughout the season. Stud on JV. Caused a fumble there and recovered it. Taking knees. Excellent job. So, yeah, we're very happy with how things went this first game. Obviously, started out the season 1-0. I don't know if I'll do this for every single game, unless I'm assuming players are predominantly going to be the ones who are going to be taking a look at this. So if they want every single game, I'll definitely do every single game. But I think we'll leave it off there. In Algoma versus NEW and Oneida Nation. 1-0, good start to the season.